Mac Flecknoe by John Dryden. Mac Flecknoe is a satirical poem written by John Dryden in the 17th century. It's a witty and humorous piece that specifically targets the poet Thomas Shadwell, who is referred to as the true blue Protestant poet T.S. Dryden uses this poem to mock Shadwell's work and satirize the literary scene of that time. Mac Flecknoe as a satire. A satire is play, novel, movie or some other literary work in which humor and exaggeration is used to criticize something or to make fun of something or someone. Thomas S. Shadwell has been satirized in this poem for his poetic dullness. Therefore, it is a satirical poem. Mac Flecknoe was written in 1678, and it was published in 1682. This was the time of Restoration period, which is also known as the Age of Dryden or the Age of Satire. This poem is written in 217 lines. Therefore, it is called an epic poem. For example, John Milton's Paradise Lost and Homer's The Iliad. The second point is Mac Flecknoe as a mock epic poem. Mac Flecknoe is a verse mock epic satire. Mock epic, also called mock heroic, is a form of satire that uses the elevated heroic style and language of the classical epic poem to deal with trivial subjects and to satirize human follies and stupidities. So the poem Mac Flecknoe is a direct attack upon Thomas Shadwell. Now point number 3. The background and character of Mac Flecknoe. Shadwell and Dryden were once friends, but their relationship soared over several disagreements, and they turned enemies to each other. Topics of disagreement are 3. First one politics, second one religion, and third one literature. Next let's discuss about political disagreement. Thomas Shadwell and John Dryden had divergent political views, as Dryden was a Tory and supported the Stuart monarchy while Shadwell was a member of the opposing party, called the Whigs. Next, religious disagreement. John Dryden used to support Catholicism, but Shadwell offended Dryden by satirizing Catholic and Anglican priests in his play, and Shadwell himself supported Protestantism, that is, he was a Protestant Christian. Moving towards third point, literature or literary disagreement. Dryden and Shadwell differed strongly on who was the better writer, Shakespeare or Ben Jonson. Dryden was a fan of Shakespeare, so he supported him. But Shadwell idolized Jonson and he fancied himself heir to Ben Jonson and his literary legacy. The difference and disagreements between the two writers reached a boiling point when Shadwell published The Maidle of John Bayes, which attacked Dryden head-on. Dryden responded with Mac Flecknoe, a masterpiece of satire which satirized the poetic dullness of Thomas Shadwell. Although many of Shadwell's plays were popular in his time, literary critics generally regard him as a writer of small merit. Dryden, on the other hand, was very famous and enjoys a reputation as one of the greatest writers of English literature. Next, talk about Richard Flecknoe. Richard Flecknoe was an English dramatist and poet whose writing was ridiculed by poet Andrew Marvell as well as Dryden. In Mac Flecknoe, Dryden casts him in the fictional role of the king of nonsense or the king of the kingdom of poetic dullness. When the aging king gets old, he decides to descend his throne and selects his son Shadwell to be his successor. In the poem, Dryden casts Shadwell as the son of the king of nonsense. Shadwell accedes to the crown as Mac Flecknoe. Mac means son and Flecknoe means Richard Flecknoe. That is, Mac Flecknoe is the son of Richard Flecknoe. Next point number 4, the world of Mac Flecknoe. Mac Flecknoe is a mock epic poem. Dryden uses the mock heroic through his use of the heightened and heroic language and style of the classical epic poems such as Homer's The Iliad to treat the trivial subjects such as poorly written and largely dismissible poetry. The poem begins in the tone of an epic masterpiece, presenting Shadwell's defining characteristics as dullness, i.e., his lack of sensibility. In every epic poem, the epic hero has defining characteristics of pride. Odysseus is cunning, and the hero of Spenser's The Faerie Queene was famous for his holiness. Thus, Dryden subverts the theme of the defining characteristics by giving Shadwell a negative characteristics as his only virtue.